Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Debra Eckerling, author of Your Goal Guide and founder of the Deb Method. And my specialty is goal setting simplified and event outcome optimization. And every Sunday night, I lead the Goal Chat Twitter chat. And then on Monday, I bring in friends to dive deep into the topic. And then Thursday, it magically becomes an episode of the Deb Show podcast. So whether you're watching live or the replay or listening, we're glad you're here and choosing yourself and your goals. And I feel like I'm hearing a moving truck in the background. I don't know if you all hear that. It's LA. There's always noise. But the topic is get moving. So I feel like it's almost like theme. And for this conversation, I'm sure you were thinking, get moving, exercise. Well, you would be right if it were a different conversation, but we will probably jump into that as well. But what I did is I gathered some of my friends who are literal movers and shakers to dive into the conversation on getting moving. And first we have Serena Bales, and Serena is one of my Innovation Women friends, and we met via Clubhouse. And she said, me, I want to be on your show. And I said, well, I want a realtor for when I talk about getting moving. So here we are. And we also have my dear friend, Brian Benson, author, project coach, and literally one of the nicest guys in the universe. And I only get to see you when you're on my show. So I'm really glad that you're here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And of course, we have Amanda Robinson, the digital gal. And when I was thinking of people who move around a lot, there is Amanda. And she is one of my social media friends who I don't know if we've ever actually had more than a 2-minute one-on-one conversation. So I'm so excited. Yes, now you all know the deep secret. I host the show to hang out with my friends, and you get to as well. Now that I've said virtually nothing about all of you, I would love for you to introduce yourselves. And so, Serena, let's start with you. Please share who you are, why you're here, and anything else you think we need to know about you right now.
Okay. I'm Serena Bales. I'm in Kansas City, both the Kansas and Missouri side. I'm an investor realtor, and what that means is I very much specialize in working with investors. If you are not quite sure what that means, it's a completely different language. I also invest in real estate myself. I am very passionate about real estate education. I host 5 different events on a weekly and monthly basis just for education. It's my passion, and it's what I want to just continue just flourishing in my network and in my marketplace, because there's such a need for it, especially when things move so quickly. But that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I have 4 kids. I've been married for 22 years, and yes, all relationships are very important to me.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're here, and I look forward to getting to know you more. So welcome. Brian.
Deb. My name's Brian Benson, and I go by my middle name, Brian, and it always causes confusion. I'm an author. I'm a project coach. I act a little bit on the side, and I ultimately just like to really create a lot of positive content in all kinds of different ways, whether it's a video or a spoken word video piece, short film, you name it. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
And do you want to tell people why I'm having you here on a conversation about getting moving? Because I feel like you missed explaining that.
Sure. Gosh, I mean, I think, well, that was a nice way of saying that. I think, throughout my life, I've really, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, is that I've showed up and I've maybe stepped out of my comfort zone in a lot of different ways. And that's kind of the same as maybe moving in a variety of different ways, whether it was leaving my family business, traveling around the U.S. last year for 6 months in an RV after having cancer the year before, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'm happy to be here and just share some of what I've learned.
Well, you certainly don't let any grass grow under your feet, and you're a wonderful role model for what is it, the Etch-a-Sketch refresh. Let's start again. And always with a smile on your face. So I'm really glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Amanda.
Hi. So my name is Amanda Robinson. I am the digital gal. I teach Facebook advertising with my signature 4-week Facebook ads bootcamp and my Swift Kick in the Ads program. I'm very passionate about Facebook advertising. I like to geek out with small business owners who are learning it from the ground up and need it broken down into normal people speak, not high intense e-commerce guru speak. Why am I here? Well, about 7 years ago, I started building my business with the intention of building it completely online in a way that I could travel and I could explore the world and live the life that I want to live. And it still took several years of building the business to get to the point where I can be completely mobile, I guess you can say. And then fast forward to the past 4 years, I've done a whole stint of doing over 80,000 kilometers. Yes, I'm Canadian. All through the United States with my car and my dog and my laptop, live streaming from all sorts of locations. I just recently road tripped all the way from Ontario back to British Columbia. I'm on the island, Vancouver Island, and I travel quite a lot. And even upcoming in the next several months, I am in probably, I'd say, 10 different states in the next 3 months. So I can't say that I've mastered the art of working my business online well on the go, because there are always areas that I'm falling down and learning. But I've gotten it into a pretty good balance where I've got my client workload, I've got my membership, I've got my online calls, and I can work it all into the travel schedule. Yeah.
Wow.
And it would be fair to say that you're pretty much always moving.
Pretty much. I'm here for home base that I've decided that this is my home base. I'm here for a week and a half and then I'm back at it again. So,
long time.
But this is the life that I have built and the life that I intentionally wanted. I don't have kids. I'm not married. I've built my life around my passions. And I love road tripping and camping and adventuring. So if there's waterfalls involved, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's a huge part, right, of setting goals and setting your sights on the life you want and then working towards it, building towards it. And getting moving, I'm going to ask the question because I think I've already put in my 3 or 4 cents on this, but what does getting moving mean to you? And let's start with you, Amanda, on this one.
Getting moving. I guess for me, the way I relate getting moving is adventuring, exploring, and experiencing. So when I'm not doing those things, I'm not moving. And when I'm not moving, then it's kind of like a flower that's not getting water. I kind of start to wilt a little bit. And then over time, it just pulls everything down. So when I get moving again, it replenishes my soul and I come to life again and I fill my cup. And then I am so much more motivated to do the things that I love to do and continue to inspire people that I inspire.
That's fantastic. I missed a word because I'm putting in the chat, but you said you love adventuring, exploring, and what was the third?
Oh gosh, I can't remember. Adventuring, exploring, and experiencing.
That's the word. It's such an important word too, because if you're not experiencing, what the heck are you doing?
Exactly.
And I know Brian is a fan of filling of the cup. So Brian, Same question.
I think it can be answered so many different ways, but for me, probably on an ongoing basis, kind of like it is for Amanda, I have to move and get a little bit of exercise every day because that just kind of allows me to, I don't know, I maybe have a little bit of extra energy or something that helps ground me, and it allows me to kind of branch out and do the things that I really want to do. And it also helps me just kind of stay in tune with my intuition, which is my guide. And that's kind of what has put me on this crazy course that I've been on, the last 10, 12 years. But I need to have a little bit of movement every day.
Well, yes, because if you don't move, you don't move.
Yeah, I feel I feel unwatered also, just like Amanda said.
There's something to be said about intuition. When you mention intuition and this sort of on-the-move lifestyle, there's something about when you start to trust yourself, when you can really listen to your intuition and stop being stubborn, stop fighting against it, go with your gut feel, it is always going to guide you in the direction of what you need, what's best for you, and what's going to fill your cup or what's going to recharge your battery. But it's when you ignore that intuition that you slowly back yourself into a corner of unhappiness.
Yeah, and give yourself permission to say, I'm not quite sure why that doesn't feel right, but I know it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Serena, what about you? What does get moving mean to you as a human? But also, we've got the literal realtor, which, again, I think is
I love
amusing.
working with investors because to me, they're basically entrepreneurs. Like, they are to the core. They have a higher risk tolerance. A lot of things are numbers. It's business related. Very much speaks my language. And I think that's why I really love this space. And with that, everybody has their own language. Amanda's definitely explorer, and Brian is move. For me, it's relationships. It's knowing what your language is and then having clarity on the direction that you're wanting to go and taking the best action to move forward with that. For me, I tell clients, if it's not on your calendar, your future should be. Whatever that is. If it is talking to the next best person about property management or whatever it is to explore, to go in a direction that you're looking for, put it on your calendar. Even if it's just the next event, so you're around the right people and having the right conversations. Do that. Find your tribe. And that's so important, especially with investing, because normally they're the one person in the family that's like the black sheep or around their friends. And they're like, I really wish you'd stop talking about houses. Like, you're really lame. So when they join their group, they're amongst their people and everybody's speaking the same language.
Yeah.
So to paraphrase and put your little philosophy in a fun little nutshell, getting moving is taking action. It is doing the things that you need to do to have the life that you want, which is probably, a common theme of the people I'm chatting with today. And what's the point of living life if you're not going after those goals in that dream life, or as I call it, Goaltopia, living the life you want and achieving those goals. But let's step back and talk about the literal for a minute, and then we can go crazy about moving forward in our lives, etc. But especially in the digital world where we can literally sit in front of a computer all day, how do you get moving throughout the day? What are some of the things you incorporate, Brian, when you're not out acting and, being you?
I'm pretty good as far as maybe incorporating a routine throughout my life, and it's going to change from time to time, but that really helps me stay in balance and in flow. So I usually try to exercise in the morning, whether it's go for a walk or go to the gym, and then try to get some work done. Then I always meditate for a little bit. And, these are all really basic, but what I eat really makes a difference too, on how I feel and how I move forward in the world. And so I always try to eat healthy all the time, but I really try to eat healthy in the morning. So I'll have a green drink with just some spinach in it and some frozen blueberries and a little ginger root. And that usually gets me by until late morning. And so that kind of helps me stay awake. And I'm a morning person, so I don't get, if you eat too heavy, you know how it makes you feel. So I don't want to start the day off like that. But then I just go with the flow of the rest of the day. I do probably most of my work in the first half, 2/3 of the day. And then I'm kind of just getting tired because I'm a morning person, and just maybe do simpler things later on. Yeah.
I think that's so important to know your time of day strengths, what you do well when, because then you can maximize, that you need to get up and do the Brian creative work. So later in the day, you could do the more rote things.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes I'll meditate in the middle of the day. That helps me kind of refresh, for 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll fall asleep, but it's fine. Maybe I needed it. And that gives me a little bit more energy. And yeah.
Very cool. And so what about you, Serena?
Very much the same. Breathwork. For me, I've struggled with health and fitness just because I have always put my passion as far as real estate forward. But I had an amazing speaker who very much motivated me. And for that, I went to journaling. I got clarity about what I wanted to have in my life, how much space I wanted to give it, and what I thought was really important. And once I did that, it appears. A lot of people call that manifestation. I think it's more a law of attraction. I put in the universe what I want. And sometimes it's just getting clarity first and knowing what that is. So my one day turned into day one 5 weeks ago, and I started powerlifting. Wow. And not only I am doing it, but my youngest is doing it, and my husband is doing it.
Wow. Is it fun?
Yes. It's incredibly fun. It's way better than I thought it ever would be. And I think that comes along with it. Anytime you have something that you set into the universe, you get so much more than you thought you would have.
Oh, I am so with you, and I'm seeing nodding from the other guests as well. Yeah. Amanda, I mean, you're always moving around, but how do you move around?
Well, it's a great question because I work long hours as well. So sometimes I find myself pinned to the desk for a 12-hour day. It's what happens when you run your own business and you have to wear all the hats and do all of the things. Some days are heavier than others. But a couple things that keep me moving are I have my dog, small dog, and who's not small. So building in regular breaks to get off the desk, he lets me know. He gives me a nice little nose bop to say it's time. I'm like, all right. Break off the desk, go for the walk, come back. Some of the other things is I on purpose, like a day like today, where I have no reason to leave the house, but I on purpose get out, go buy myself a coffee to physically get off the desk, physically change my location, get out and change scenery. The other thing I do is when I have the opportunity, I do a lot. I'm a desk jockey. I spend a lot of time on the computer. When I have the opportunity, such as this weekend, for example, I'm going camping in Tofino, or I'll go camping off grid, where I pack up everything, I backpack it in, I go off grid and literally have no connection to the outside world for over 24 to 48 hours and disconnect completely. And that's my time. That's my time to just listen to the waves on the beach or sit there and have my coffee, in the tent and just enjoy life without all of the technology. So I take advantage of those little moments to disconnect and recharge. And that's how I power up my battery, so that when I do have these weeks where I have stints of, 12-hour days, I'm different than Brian and Serena, where I'm the night hawk. I take a long, slow time in the day to kind of warm up, ramp up. And then once I'm going, I'm locked on and I'm hyper focused and I can't quit. I can't shut it down. I can't shut the brain down. So it's very difficult for me to break that focus. When I'm on a roll, I'm on a roll, and I've learned to embrace it, run with it. I do have a rule though, when it's if it hits midnight, I got to get off the desk. But I take those moments. I force myself to have those regimented breaks. I have to have everything calendared and scheduled, even down to having a lunch break. It has to be in the calendar, because if it's not, I won't take it. I skip over it. And then I realize I've done a 5-hour block of talking on Zoom calls and then doing work and not even having a pee break. And it's a chronic issue with hyperfocus, but I've had to learn little hacks and tricks. And the other hack I have is I use verbal alarms for almost everything. So I've got my Google Home, and I will ask it to set alarms to remind me to get up and move, physically move.
Amen.
I love the calendar. I personally have never forgotten to eat, but I do know what it's like.
Or pee.
But I do know what it's like when you get in that zone and you don't even want to stop because you're so excited. And that also means that you're doing the right thing. So again, finding that balance, but the forced balance. And even if your boundary is midnight, which most people would think is a little bit late, if it works for you, then it works for you.
And that's when normally I spend during the daytime, during working hours. That's when the clients are available. That's when I'm having conversations and on camera. But my creative work happens later in the evening. And that's my time where everyone else is quiet. I'm not getting phone calls from anybody, no matter what time zone they're in. And that's when I can just exist and be. And that's when the inspiration hits. And that's when I create. That's when I'm the most productive.
I remember, well, even now, I love the holidays because people don't bother me. And it's the perfect time to be diving into those passion projects, the creative projects. But if all you wait is for holidays to work on your passion projects, well, I guess slow and steady wins the race, but that's a little bit excessive. So knowing your good productive time, I think, is so valuable. So you're all like literally moving forward on everything. What stops people? Let's talk about the opposite of all of you. What do you think stops people from moving forward? Amanda?
They think the goal is too big, or it's too unattainable, or it's too far out, or it's too, the goal doesn't feel like it can happen tomorrow. So therefore you put it off until the next tomorrow and the next tomorrow and the next tomorrow. You might not have any more tomorrows. So why not start today? If something takes you out halfway through, well, you were on your journey midway. At least you're moving in the direction of doing what you want to do. You might not be exactly, well, and the other part to that is, even when you think you're going to get to where you want to be, you're never where you want to be. It's always in the future. So just keep moving one foot in front of the other every single day. Make it a goal that if you just did one action, one tiny action, whether that's writing an idea in a book, or whether that's sitting down and cranking out an entire website in an afternoon, whatever, just whatever action, big or small, if you do one single thing every single day, that'll keep you moving forward. So I think people prevent themselves from experiencing their own success, and success is a very big, broad term, but because they think the goal, it can't happen in such a short timeline, that they don't put the tomorrow effort in, the today effort for the tomorrow.
Yes, I see that all the time as well. And I'm a huge fan of the little increments of time, but I've got something I call the 5 of 7 rule, which gives you permission to take a day or two off a week to to think, but not to act. But the little bits of time definitely add up. And if you don't start, you're never going to get there. So I think that's huge. What do you think, Brian?
Wow. There's a lot of reasons, I think. Some that I just kind of popped in while Amanda was talking. I think sometimes we can push too hard. And a lot of times if I'm going against my intuition or just pushing to make stuff happen and for the wrong reasons, I think sometimes this is kind of two together, but I know for me personally in the past, some of the things I did, I'm proud of everything I did, and they were kind of intuitively guided, and I was a conduit for them. But yet, I also wanted them to validate me. And so, if we kind of get caught in that, that leads to expectations. Sometimes it messes up, and so I think sometimes we can push too hard, and every time I really tried to push when I wasn't supposed to, nothing happened. And so those are the times when we need to just chill and take a break. And so I think it ultimately comes down to self-awareness, right? In that regard. Yeah, there you go. I'll bluff.
I agree with you. Absolutely. Sometimes you need to chill and take a break. And that doesn't necessarily stop you from achieving your goals. It just means you need a break.
Well, yes.
Right?
And I think, though, sometimes I can only speak for myself. And just since I've always really tried to almost be the observer, in my own experience for a long time, that sometimes if we're doing something for the wrong reasons, that can keep us from moving forward. So
you just explain my entire dating life.
Yeah. Well, it happens in a lot of different ways.
I see you nodding, Serena. Did you
Yes.
have something to add?
Well, yeah, I think that was really insightful. There are opportunities that I say no to, and a lot of times even if it's a passion project, timing is everything. A lot of my clients, timing is everything. A lot of things that stop them are they have gone somewhere and learned something, and they've been given the context, but they haven't been given, or the content, but not the context. So they know what they're looking for, but they don't know how that looks in our market or how it will actually perform outside of their little formula they were given by somebody else.
Mhm.
So clarity, expectations, being set ahead of time will really help people move forward. And knowing that someone is actually going to stand there and walk with you step by step. A lot of times I see people given offers for their houses, even cash offers. And in this market, there are a lot of motivated people. People that are older, people that are stuck in situations, and they're outrageous, some of the offers. And they're like, there's no way. If someone were just to say, listen, I will take you step by step. Each step, I'm going to give you a menu, and off that menu, you can decide which direction you want to go. They would get a lot more done because people need that. They need to see the trail before they start walking up that mountain.
So it's timing, but also guidance,
Yes.
community support, right?
Can I add one thing too? After
Yes,
Serena?
please.
Sorry. I think sometimes and this is me again, I wanted things so badly, I would like maybe purchase a program or do this or that, and it wasn't really meant for me. And that would just actually make the process even longer, because here I'm trying to put me, who's different and unique, just like everybody else is, into this cookie cutter situation, which you kind of mentioned earlier, Serena. So it's a lot of trust as well.
Yeah,
in the
and
process.
making sure that person is where you want to be. Right.
Yes.
I fired mentors just because, after a few months, I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's not where I want to be, or that's not the language I speak.
Yeah.
I think it's so important, and that's why what I do is so foundational. To get what you want, you need to know what you want. When you know what you want, then the mentors, the outside influences, the resource that come your way, which are yeses and which are no thank yous. But you can only tell that if you are true to yourself and your path, and the destination. And it may change, it probably will, but who you are and why you do what you do doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I've recently adopted a new way of looking at things. When I say recently, probably about in the last year, and it's going to sound a little harsh, but it has been working for me lately, because I've been too kind, too much of a pushover. I put everybody else's needs and clients' needs and everything ahead of myself. But realizing that I have my goals and I want to move myself forward. No one else is going to take accountability for that. So I've had to get more focused. And what's helped me get more focused is that people I encounter along my way, and again, this is going to charging my battery up or draining my battery, are only falling into 3 categories. They are either helping me, hurting me, or standing in my way. Mm-hmm. Only one of those categories is moving me forward. And it's not about using people. It's about any interactions that I'm having. For example, if I want to go out for brunch with a friend, is that helping me? Yes, it's lifting me up. It's giving me a recharge. Do I want to go out for a group activity where half the people in the group are very upset and down all the time and, draining that energy? They're not hurting me, but they're standing in my way, because that's time I could be using for something else. So when I look at a situation, before I say yes or no to it, or as I'm making a decision in a situation, if I want to remain in the situation or move on, I've run it up that little flagpole of, is it helping me, hurting me, or standing in my way? And that standing in your way category, that's the one that gets you. That's the one where, you're too polite. You'll stick it out through pretty much anything. But once I've started to identify that that's not helping me, it's not helping me. So where do I want to go with my goals? Who do I want to spend my time with? Where do I want to put my energy? And that little formula has just absolutely changed everything for me.
I love that third category, because that's the one people don't look at. I've been on the board for this organization for the last couple of years, and now that my time is up, I'm done. And it definitely falls into that category of putting energy out and trying to make things better, to crickets. Not worth my time, not worth my energy. And it's prioritizing the time too. So as you're talking, I'm like, yep. Mm-hmm.
And especially if, some of us are a little bit more in the giving nature, and it can really, myself, it can really slow us down.
Well, saying no, it's a complete sentence, but it's probably a lot of people's least favorite sentence. Can you relate?
I feel like saying no, I'm really not good at. So doing this little exercise of if it's standing in my way, it helps me prevent myself from putting myself in situations where I have to say no. It just helps me curb my time, curb my energy, curb everything into all yes scenarios by taking care of it right away, instead of allowing myself to get into a scenario where I'm not having fun anymore. Or I'm spending time, but it's spending time at my expense for somebody else's benefit that isn't moving me forward closer to where I want my goals to be. And I kind of look at it in the grand scheme of things that there are only so many weekends that you have on this planet. And of the weekends, or whether you work on a weekend schedule, Monday to Friday schedule, whatever, there's only so many pockets of time that you have to take all the hard work that you've been doing from your day job and go and explore, experience, and just do the things that you are working so hard for. There's only so many weekends. There's only so much time to do the things. So of that time, how is it best spent, and how quickly am I moving myself to those goals? And are these things slowing me down? So it helps prevent me from getting into those positions of having to say no. And that's been a huge relief.
That is awesome. Serena had something brilliant to say. Go on, please.
Well, and it's being intentional in reverse. A lot of it was, okay, how are these people affecting me? It's also the opposite. How am I affecting other people? I have 5 other agents in my space that do very similar things as what I do. And I am perfectly okay to put every single one of them in an email and say, you know what, maybe they can serve you better than I can. And they're not in my brokerage, but they share a very similar space, which is very important in putting them out there like that, because I do feel like there is so much abundance out there, and I want you to find somebody that speaks to you.
I love that you said the word intention, because do you guys do this where you set yourself a word for the year? And then that's like your word for my word for this year was intentional. Everything that I do this year has to be intentional, not reactive. And that's been pretty, again, huge shift. Not the same girl that I was a year ago, not the same girl I was 4 years ago, not the same girl I was when I decided I'm going to start an online business. But it's amazing just hearing your perspectives on what helps you move forward, and how much I'm like, oh yeah, checking the boxes. I'm like, yes, that resonates.
Well, yeah. I'm a fan of, in Brian and Serena, I'm going to ask you in a minute what your word for the year is. So I'm buying you time here.
I'm sorry.
Oh no,
thanks a lot, Amanda.
I'm sorry. Been over here on mute for a while.
Spaghetti. I'm just going to say right now, it's spaghetti. Yeah. Right.
Is it spaghetti?
Yeah.
Oh, because I'd be okay with that word.
Okay.
What is it really, Brian?
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were going to say something before you were going to. I'd still need a few seconds to kind of come up with
okay. What I was going to say is, so the D in the Deb method is determine your mission. And after you figure out your mission statement, you come up with the motto. So my motto being goal setting simplified, or what I'm working with right now is event outcome optimization. So I'm more thematic in my intentions, my mottos, because that's the barometer I use. This is what I did my TEDx on in April, is the magic of your motto. When you know who you are, what you stand for, it's a decision tree. And take that and use your words in alignment with it, and you're like golden. You've got like, I don't want to, going back to the law of attraction, you've just got all of what you need for yourself in the simplest manner to help you make decisions, move forward, and have that best life you so desire. Did I buy you enough time, Brian and Serena?
No, I probably need an hour, but I'll wing it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to come up with a word. It's just, I have done that before. I think a couple of years ago it was a wow. And then last year was such a interesting year in of itself in so many good ways. Just being on the road, I was able to, in a nutshell, I needed to heal, and it was so healing in so many different ways. And it gave me some things that I thought it probably would. I mean, like I became more self-sufficient in certain ways. But I mean, ultimately, and this is going to sound really sappy, I needed to be anonymous for a while because I put so much pressure on myself to be this perfect person because I was writing all this self-help stuff and creating in that realm. And so it really allowed me to just take a break, connect with people, and just breathe. But it allowed me to love the Brian that hadn't accomplished everything. And so thank you.
That's
Wait,
big.
wait.
It's big.
Where's your gold star?
It's right on my forehead.
I can relate to this.
Yeah. And so this year, I don't have a word, but there's a lot of transition going on, and everything's good because I'm standing in a much more self-accepting place. And if you love yourself, everything else falls into place. And so I'm just kind of allowing myself to stand in a way that I haven't stood before, and just allow things to unfold. And I mean, I have an idea where things are going to go, but I'm not going to get in the way anymore. So let's come up with a word around that, Deb.
I think the word is allow.
Well, I'll use allow again. Yeah. I've used it before, but yeah, and I am. So allow it is. Thank you.
I was going to use healing, but we can use allow. It's okay. Doesn't have to be my word. But this is because I've known you a few years now, and I'm giving you extra gold stars because I know what it took to get you to here. So I say your word is yay, Brian, yay, me. But we'll go with allow. Sure.
Thank you. All right.
And Serena, do you have a word for you?
Delegate.
Ooh.
So I've built a couple businesses in the last 3 years, and I've developed a wonderful reputation and many groups that have helped many people, and I'm ready to bring others to help me lead those groups and to delegate responsibility, because the ones that I am just a part of I have so much more fun with than the ones I actually lead. And it can be a blessing to somebody that's ready for it. So it's finding those people and being able to position them into these roles, and allow them to have their own vision and see where this can go for them.
You tripped over one of my favorite qualifications for saying no, which is when you say no to something that isn't a fit for you, you give someone else the opportunity to say yes. So I love that. Good for you. Yeah. And having fun. I think, is this the first time the word fun has been mentioned since we started talking? Huge. If you're not having fun, why are you doing the thing?
I feel like adventure and fun are like synonymous.
Okay. You can have the fun. You can have the credit for fun, but you're right.
I told them, I said, that's my top requirement for my clients. It's fun. And they're like, well, what if they're not fun? I said, then I have a letter. He was like, can I see the letter? And I was like, no, you're fun. I was like, you don't want to see the letter.
The letter is the, I'm sorry, we can't be working together letter?
No, the letter is, it's you, not me.
Oh.
I think
it's not fun. It's more of, you're my employee, you work for me. And it's a shift that has happened a couple times. And I like to work with people that want to work with me and appreciate what we do together.
And that goes back to what you were talking about before, is everybody does everything. So find the people that are fit for you, both as clients, but from the mentorship, partnership, resource side. There are plenty of people who do the thing that you need. Find the common connections and build.
Yeah. And find what you need in order to do what you love.
That is a wonderful wonderful transition to my next question, which is, what are some simple ways for people to get moving? And you can be as literal or as figurative as you want in answering the question.
I'm gonna echo what Serena has already pointed out. Put it on the calendar. I was having a conversation with someone while I was road tripping across Canada, and I think I was in Sault Ste. Marie, having a pint, having a chat with somebody, and they were saying, "Oh, I really do want to move out west. I've got all the stuff for it, and I've been meaning to." I'm like, "Well, if you've been meaning to, and it's something you really want, why don't you just pick a date? Like whether it's 6 months out, whether it's a year out, go and literally just put it on your calendar on your phone right now, and put a little 1 week reminder, so that a week from that date, your phone's going to give you a little, hey, move out west." But sometimes that's all it takes, because what you don't realize is that, fast forward 6 months from now or a year from now, you might be in that exact moment where you're going through a breakup or you're going through a life shift, and all of a sudden that little reminder pop-up comes up on the phone. You're like, you know what? That's actually what I want. That's what I want to do. So go for it. But if you don't throw things on the calendar, or if you don't put them into a physical space or if you don't put it out into the universe and you just keep it all in here, it's never going to happen. Never. The same with if you want to go somewhere, book the flight. You can always change the flight. You can always get the credit. You can always find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to take that first step. Put it on the calendar. Go book the flight. Go take some concrete, real step toward what you want, whether it's for the future or right now.
Yeah. Can I tell you how much I love that? The whole purpose is that we have control over our lives, but we forget. Well, we don't forget, but people forget that it is within their power.
It truly is. It really is.
Were you going to say something, Brian?
Well, no, if it's my turn.
It can be your turn.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I don't want to cut off my end. But basically, I echo what she's saying. Boldly say yes. For me, everything that has happened that I've kind of created, it's been an intuitive hit, and I didn't wait around. I just acted on it almost immediately. And even though I had maybe done it before or it was scary, I still just said yes, and I figured it out on the way there. Like 7 years ago, I was invited to do a TEDx talk, and I wasn't really even thinking about it, but I gulped and said yes, and I just figured it out, and it worked, and what have you. But it's just, if it's a fit, if it's an intuitive, all systems go, just do it, and you will figure it out on the way there.
Can I ask your opinion, because everybody here is a mover, a shaker. You've got goals, you've got businesses, you go after things. One of my theories, and I don't know if it's just me that experiences this, but is, yes, I have these great goals, and yes, I go with my gut, and yes, I do the things. I do all the things that I want to do. I go for it. I'm full send. But what I have realized in life is that for everything that I want to go after, there's usually a consequence to it. So there's always a trade-off. So if I have a great big goal, there's always a great big trade-off that goes with it, whether that's the amount of time that I've had to spend to get there, or saying no to so many other opportunities to go after this one. There's always this trade-off, this consequence. But if it's smaller goals, the consequences or trade-offs tend to be a lot smaller. But when I want big things, it comes with a much bigger price tag. And I think that we idealize how much you can set your goals and go after it and live the life you want. I'm like, yeah, if I wanted if I wanted more balance in my life and less chaos, then I wouldn't set the goals at the degree that I do. But I'm recognizing that for every big thing I want, there's a consequence that goes with it. And so I balance those things.
Is it a negative consequence?
I can't, if I'm, when I want to do a big road trip, if I want to be on the road for several months, sleeping in either campsites or Airbnbs or different hotels, different events, there's the consequence, the trade-off of it's hard on the nervous system. It's really hard on you don't have a consistent bed to sleep in. You don't have a consistent schedule. There are all sorts of things. Like when I was road tripping out here, I'd roll into towns a little bit too late and all the restaurants would be closed. I'm like, all right, well, I didn't plan that out very well. So now I'm eating soup from Tim Hortons again, not having a nutritional meal. Those things, those are the consequences. They snowball and they add up. But on the flip side, I'm like, I just road tripped across Canada. It was the best experience ever. So there's levels and degrees of consequences that come with these wonderful goals. Yes, I checked off a big goal, but it comes with these consequences.
I never thought about it that way. I mean, I don't know if I've suffered them maybe like that. I mean, yeah, when I was on the road last year, sometimes if you're in the South or other places, it's hard to find healthier food. So that, I suppose, is a little bit of a consequence. But I don't know. I've always been pretty good at being uncomfortable and not really. I'm sure you are. You have to be too. With all that you do, you camp a lot more. In a lot more difficult way than I did, in an RV. But
my body hates me.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that.
I think it's a balance thing too. So let's say you weren't a digital you, right? Even if you were always in the same place, you still can't do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I wouldn't even call it a consequence. I would just say a trade-off. Because it sounds a little bit nicer. The other thing is, and it's been years since I drove cross country to LA, but even even like when I was going to my book signing in in Manhattan Beach during rush hour, there were still snacks. There are always snacks in my car. So I don't think I would ever have that particular problem. But to find the balance, if you're doing this and you love it, say thank you to your body for being patient with you. Serena, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah. So with investing, it's a cost of opportunity is usually what we call it. So if you have a lot of personal capital and you use all of your capital for one investment instead of using other people's money, only putting a percentage down, then the cost could be greater because there might be an opportunity right around the corner. Well, now you have no liquid. So I try to explain that because we leverage a lot of other people's money when we do our own investments. And people are like, well, if you have it in the bank, why don't you use it? I'm like, well, because I have a lot of opportunities that are coming at me at very high speed. So in order to balance them and knowing which ones I want to say yes to and which ones I don't, it's always best to have as many options as possible, which I think Debra was really talking about with the snacks. It's
balance, it's choice, it's opportunity.
And setting it up. Yeah, and that's intention. That is very much what that is, and setting expectations for what this trip might come across, even with the timing.
One thing that you just tripped over, Serena, which is exactly the thing, it's all about setting yourself up for success. What are the things you need to do? What are the skills that you need to embrace or get? And what to create this life? And if it means you have to set a reminder to pack snacks the next time you go on a road trip so you don't end up hungry at your destination, it's each time you do it's a little better. It's a really great conversation. I'm going to sidetrack us a little because I love it for my guests to gift goals to our audience. So what is one thing someone can do today, tonight, tomorrow, immediately, because, embrace the get moving, to move forward? Brian, do you have a goal to gift?
Well, I'm kind of confused by the question. I mean, you're wanting something to do, or what do you mean by a goal? Like set a goal.
Maybe you should
have somebody else go first. I'm smarter than I look.
Okay? Actually, because you put it that way, I'm going to make it two questions. What is a goal for yourself? See, you both can blame Brian for this one because it's a great idea. What is a goal?
Great, I'm not taking the blame for something.
Yourself?
Good job, Brian.
And then
Thanks, Brian.
a recommended goal that someone who's tuning in can do to move forward with their life? So you can take it in whatever order you want. What is your goal and what goal are you gifting?
Oh gosh. Well, it'll be one and the same. I'm always working on trying to be the best version of myself, and along that just comes the self-awareness. I'm always just trying to become more and more self-aware, whether it's what is it that I really want to do, how do I want to get there, what should I be doing right now just to kind of help myself get through this period of transition, et cetera, et cetera. But within also just how do I continue to be better, as far as service and just connecting with people and expanding my whatever. So, I'm really going off tangent here, but
you are. We noticed.
Self-awareness.
So the goal is to be more self-aware.
Absolutely.
But isn't that like a good life goal? Like ongoing. It's a good reminder. Of course it is.
Yes. I guess I would love to hear what the other women in the panel have to say. And that would give me a better idea of what we're shooting for.
So Serena, do you want to go next?
Yes. So my goal for myself obviously was fitness. And I set a powerlifting meet for December. So, I have plenty of time. I have something very specific I'm aiming for. I know I'm going to be bench only. So, I even specified it more. I have a guide, I have a coach that I trust completely. So I can actually surrender to the process, which for me in fitness is something I need to do because I'm very obsessive about that aspect of my life, which we can get when we don't have clarity and we think we know what to do. We think we know what actions to take, and actually we don't. Not in that area, not in that specific situation. So my gift to someone else is to get a very intentional idea, very specific idea of what you want, and then take stock of what you have. So for me, it was the time I was going to commit. It was knowing I want to do this with my family, even. It was knowing I needed a coach that had enough accomplishments and enough of a background that I could trust him, knowing who to trust. So those are the things that are very important for me in my goal setting. And put it on your calendar. Your future is on your calendar. Put it on there today. Even if it's just researching and Googling the next best step.
I love that. And so you have a wonderful, purposeful goal for yourself. And the goal for those tuning in is to get that intention, figure out what you want, and then take that inventory, where you are, where my book's road trip theme. Where are you now? Where are you going? What supplies do you have? And what do you need to get there? So that's fantastic. I love that. Amanda, what is your goal?
So my goal, it's pretty simple overall. And this is sort of the advice side too. It's kind of combined. Is I want to wake up happy every day. And it seems so simple, but it is a really good weather vane on if I'm doing the right things for myself or if I'm not. If I wake up and you know how there's those mornings where you wake up and you're like, I've got this meeting today. I've got that thing that's due. I got to pay those bills. Like that feeling, that like sinking or that gripping or grasping, like, you're just waking up and you're like, not really looking forward to the things. Or there's that feeling where you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, get the coffee on, get the dog outside, get on the laptop, like let's get the things going. I'm so excited about this, or I'm so excited to reveal this to the client, or I'm so excited to see the results of that ad, or I'm so excited because it's camping day. Like there are things that light you up and lift you up. So if you wake up every day and you find more days than not that you're waking up with that sinking feeling, or you're just waking up unhappy, ask yourself why. Like literally just day by day, ask yourself, okay, what is it today that I'm unhappy about? Is it within my control to actually change this? If it's not something I can change today, is this something that I can take action for so that I can change it for next year or for the next 5 years? But what is the thing that's making you unhappy? And if you say your kids, that doesn't count because they both make you happy and unhappy all in one at the same. It's like an elastic. That's different. But what about you? What can you do in your everyday with your career, with your life, your interpersonal relationships, your everything? If you wake up and you are unhappy, you literally are in control of changing it. But if you don't ask yourself that question, or if you don't pay attention to it, it can snowball. And then you find yourself, fast forward 5 years and you're still in the same place with the wrong person and the wrong job and the wrong everything and miserable. So my goal is to wake up happy. And by me taking those little incremental shifts when I'm not waking up happy, it has made a big difference.
I love that it's your goal and also the goal that you are gifting, because and even the correction, if you don't love all of your life, is to at least love some of your life and do the thing that you love first thing, and that will set your day on a better path. And this is the reason I do what I do is because I believe everybody deserves to love most, if not all of their life. If you need to make change, whether by choice or by circumstance, do it. It is within your power.
One of the questions I'm always asking people when I first meet them isn't necessarily what do you do for a living. One of my questions is, if you could do anything in the world, any job that you wanted to, no holds barred, what job would you be doing? So I'm not necessarily as concerned about what are they doing right now, but if you ask somebody what job would you like to be doing, they usually light up and you learn so much more about them and about their passions and their personality versus, so what do you do?
Yeah.
Well, and then the flip side of that is if they say, I'm doing it, then they're waking up happy. They pass the Amanda test and they're living a better life.
And I'm not gonna lie, I don't love Facebook ads. I do Facebook ads for a living. I don't love it. It's been a landmine lately, but I still love waking up happy, love the work that I'm doing, love the people I'm working with. So there's always trade-offs, but does it come with that? You don't have to love your actual job, but you have to love how it fuels your life.
Yeah, it's a vehicle. Real estate's a vehicle for relationships. It is. I'm in the people business, not the house business.
I have an answer now. Oh, I'm sorry.
You do?
Well, I think I know why I got tripped up. I don't set goals. I have intentions, because in the past, sometimes I've set a goal and it was too narrow. And so by putting an intention, there's so many different ways to get there. And I'm always surprised. And so I just don't think that way. But I think a while back I was trying to manifest. I think I was feeling like collaboration would be good for me. And most of the stuff I've done up to now, it's just been me. I've been a lone wolf. And so I brought that in about a month ago with this person I'm working on this multi-author book with. And it's been really, really awesome doing that. And so I guess you can say that was an intention / goal of mine, but it just happened. And so now I guess I'll gift the gift of collaboration, and there's so many different ways that we can collaborate.
So the goal is to find a collaboration.
Yeah.
Or collaborate.
Well, I mean, it just happened because I had that just feeling like I felt like it was time for me to do that, and it manifested. So I guess for you want us to gift something to everybody else. So gifting the gift of collaboration, whether it's a business collaboration, whether it's just friendship, whether it's a better relationship with a family member, you name it. But collaboration with the right people is gold.
I think that's fantastic. And you've just totally taken my goal format off kilter. Thank you. No,
I am a unique duck. I know I am.
These are all good points. And I am having flashbacks to our conversations in the past about goals versus intention.
I'm always going to upset the apple cart. You know that.
Which makes for better conversation, right? But for me, goals are to get to the intended life.
Yeah.
It's about creating the life that you want, that you deserve, that makes you happy. Because we're not supposed to use the word should, but I use it anyway. We have the power to be happy. So empower yourself, do the things, big things, little things that make you happy.
Yeah. For sure.
So friends, where can people learn more about you? You've lost your volume completely, Serena. So I will if you go to thedebmethod.com/blog and look up the recap, we will have the ways to find Serena there, and just send it to me so we can get people connected with you. Brian, where can people find you?
Social media, it's usually just at G. Brian Benson. My website's G. Brian Benson. That multi-author book project's daretodreambook.com. But yeah, I'm all over the place.
Excellent. And Amanda, where can people find you?
Well, being the Facebook ads person I am, Facebook is usually the best way to find me. Facebook.com/thedigitalgal. You can find me at my website, thedigitalgal.com. And if you want to take a crack at learning how to do your own Facebook ads, you can go and get a swift kick in the ads over at swiftkickintheads.com.
I love how you embrace humor in what you do, because ads, they're a thing. You know, we live in a social world or a social media world, because most people know I'm like social media adjacent. Social media is necessary evil. Ads, for most people, I'm thinking you would agree, is overwhelming.
Absolutely.
No matter what your skill set. So the fact that you look at it with humor and light is awesome. Brian, the fact that you're continually exploring and finding new projects to do, amazing. Serena, your talent for bringing people together in the right situations, it's all a part of moving forward, helping people live that absolute better life. Because if we're not moving forward, we're standing still. And what fun is that?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. We have a strong no, thank you against fun. Thank you so much, Amanda Robinson, G. Brian Benson, and Serena Bales, for joining me today. Thank you for tuning in. Again, you can find the recaps at thedebmethod.com/blog. If you need some help, you can grab a copy of your goal guide at your favorite place to buy books. Or if you need more inspiration and motivation, you can find me at the Deb Method everywhere. Thank you again, Amanda, Brian, Serena. Final thought? Serena, let's see if we have volume.
Can you hear me?
Yes. What is your final thought, Serena?
Put it on your calendar. I don't think it can be said enough.
Okay. Brian?
Keep searching for and patting yourself, searching for that self-acceptance and self-love, and patting yourself on the back. That is the toughest thing for us to do as human beings, and it's the thing that can offer us the most.
Aw.
Yeah.
Love that. And what about you, Amanda? Final thought to you. Final thought to you.
Your happiness is worth it.
Oh, so true. What a wonderful, wonderful way to end on. Thank you, friends. Thank you, audience, for tuning in and choosing your life. You're here. You want to achieve your goals. So go on out there and go for it. And just remember one thing. You can do it. It's all in your control.